So welcome back. In this video we are going to be focusing on theme customization and making the site look and feel a bit more personal to us. So if we open up our current site in RapidWeaver's live external preview, so press Command P on your keyboard, you'll see that we have the default styling for the Voyager theme. So we have this nice blue sea background in the header. We've got the default fonts that have been selected. The content width I think is 1170 pixels wide. We have the sidebar on the right, all things like this. So these are the default styles for this Voyager theme. And as I say, what we're going to do in this video is look at how we can customize this to make it our own. So to do this, we go to RapidWeaver, and in the left hand sidebar here we're going to go to Settings and then Master Style. Now before we look at these styles, what I want to point out is that each individual theme in RapidWeaver has its own theme styles. And the Master Styles settings here will be applied to all pages by default. However, we can override those styles on a per page basis, and we're going to look at doing that later in this video. So as I said, each theme has its own styles. So in the right hand side here you'll see all the available style options for this theme. And when we change a setting here, this will be automatically applied to all of the pages on our site. So for example, if we didn't want the site title to be uppercase, we can uncheck this option, and you'll notice that the site title updates. We'll leave it as uppercase as the default for now. Next we can change the content width. So as I said, by default it's 1170 pixels. If we wanted it to be 870, we could go back to Safari and preview that, and you'll see that the content width is reduced. Again, we'll leave all of these as the defaults for now. Okay, the next type of theme customization available is the color options, or the color wells here. So you'll see that we get default colors for different areas of the theme. So the navigation overlay has these settings. If we go down, we could change the site title, the navigation toggle, the body text, and so on. So let's have a look at changing the navigation overlay. Now the navigation overlay is this overlay that you see here. By default it's transparent black. We could have that as white if we wanted. Then when we open it up, you'll see that turns white. We would then have to update the color settings for all of these items here. So what we'll do is change that back to the default of black, and we'll get the black overlay. Then we can change the active page color, and that is the color that we see here for the active page that we're on, or the current page that we're on. So if we wanted to change that, you just click on the blue color, and what I'm going to do is just drag this color into the color well here to save it for later, and then I'm going to update it to be this blue here instead. So when we open our menu item up, you'll see that the blue color is updated here. So we could change that to red to make it more obvious, and you'll see if we open the menu again, we now have a red navigation item. Okay, as I say, we'll leave this as the defaults for now, and we'll look at updating this in just a second. Okay, so the next type of option available in the Voyager theme is the type of font we want to use. So for example, here on the site title, we could use the Open Sans bold font, and you'll see that gets updated here for the title. Once again, I'll set that back to the defaults, but you'll see we have also font options for the site slogan and the body text. So if we go down to the body text here, you'll see we have Open Sans at the moment. If we set this to Laura, you'll see that gets updated there. Again, I'll set that back to the defaults. Now one thing I want to point out here is you might be wondering where our sidebar has gone. You'll see that it's now actually below our content, and this is because Voyager is a responsive theme. So as the viewport, or the width of the browser window, gets smaller, the content will be stacked on top of each other. And this is happening because we have the page inspector open here to change the master styles for this theme. If we were to have a floating inspector, you'll see that the viewport, or the browser width, is larger, and the sidebar goes back to the right hand side. So whenever you're previewing your theme inside of RapidWeaver, the width of the viewport, or the width of the area that your site is previewing in, will depend on how your content is displayed, and this in essence is responsive design. So if you're just wondering about that, that's why that is happening. And whilst we're talking about the sidebar, we can actually set where we want the sidebar to be shown. So by default it's on the right hand side, however we could have it on the left hand side, and you'll see it gets applied there. Or if we wanted to, we could hide it completely, and that will mean that our content area would take up the whole width of the site. So as before, I'm going to set this back to the right hand side so that we're on the defaults. And one tip here is when you are changing the master styles, I would suggest that you use a floating inspector just so that you get a more realistic idea of how your site is actually going to look. And what you can also do is, if you want to test out your responsive design, you can hover over the side of the viewing area and you can drag that, and you'll get essentially a responsive design preview. So you can drag it down to a smaller width and you'll see how your site would look like on an iPhone, for example. And you'll see that the sidebar gets stacked below the main content area when the viewport gets small enough. So as we make this larger, you'll see that the sidebar will snap back into place when we get to a large enough viewport. Okay, with that being said, let's look at what we want to actually update on our theme and start doing that and applying that to all of our pages. So the first thing I want to actually customize is this banner area. And how do we do that? Well, we don't actually do that within inside of the master styles area, because banner images can be applied to any RapidWeaver theme. Where those are set is inside of the general settings. And if we scroll down here, you'll see a banner area where we can drop an image in, and that banner will be used on all of the pages of our site. And I have a banner inside of the assets area, so this one here, and what I'm going to do is just drag and drop that into the banner area here. This is now the banner image that will be used for all of the pages on our site. And as with the theme styles, we can update this on a per page basis, and we're going to do this later on. Okay, now when we come back to the master styles, you'll see that we are now using that customized banner image. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is customize the height of the banner area. By default it's 540 pixels, but we're going to use a thinner banner area of 440. So that you'll see that the banner area gets smaller, so all the content moves up. And that's the only thing we're going to customize for now. And as I say, just remember that when you're editing the master styles here, these will be applied to all of the pages on your site, unless you have customized the styles on a per page basis. So let's go back to our home page and have a look at that. So we go to home, and then I will open up RapidWeaver's live external preview, and you'll notice that the banner area was reduced in height. We're using our custom banner image, and everything else is as it was, so we haven't customized the site width or anything like that. All we've done is customize the banner height and the background image for that banner. So let's go back to RapidWeaver and look at how we could customize the settings for just the home page. So to do that, open up the page inspector, go to the theme customization tab, and here you'll see we are using the master style. So the master style is the setting that we have here in the global project settings. So as I say, by default, whenever you update the master styles, that will be applied to each individual page. So when you go to the contact page, we're also using the master style, and on the about page, we're also using the master style. If we wanted to customize the styles for just this page, we need to uncheck this option, and then we get all of the available customization options for this theme. We can also use a different theme for this page, and we're going to look at this later on in this series. So if you want a completely different theme for just one page, you can do that here. For now, we're going to be using just the Voyager theme, but what we are going to do is go down and hide the sidebar. So at the moment we have a right hand sidebar. What I'm going to do is actually hide that, and then I'm going to make the content width thinner. So if we go up here, I'm going to choose 970. So now when we go to Safari, you'll see the preview updates, and we don't have a sidebar, and the content is slightly thinner. And just to reiterate that those changes are only made on the home page. If we go to perhaps the contact page, you'll see that we still have the sidebar and the width is 1170. However, the banner area is the same because that was set on a global basis in the site settings area. Okay, the next thing I want to look at is customizing the banner image on a per page basis. So let's go back to RapidWeaver, and we're on the contact page. So what we could do is go to the first tab here, and you'll see an override site banner. So if we want to have a different banner for this page, all we do is drag and drop in another image. So this banner 2 image here, drag and drop that in. Now when we go to Safari and preview that page, you'll see we have a custom banner image for just this page. So if we go to another page, say the About page, we have that site-wide banner, and that is also applied on the home page. However, on the contact page, we have that customized banner image. Okay, so just to recap, the master styles will update these styles for all of the pages on your site unless you are using a custom style for that page, which you can do in the page inspector. Your site will also use the banner image applied in the general settings unless you override that in the page inspector override site banner area here. So that is how you customize your site in a global manner and also on a page specific basis. So the next thing I want to do is show you how to override some other default settings such as the site title and slogan. So if we go to Safari and have a look at our site, you'll see that the title is Ben Council and the slogan is "Hello, I'm Ben, designer and developer at Realmac." And this is applied to every page on our site. However, if we wanted something more custom, say on the About page, how could we customize the slogan here? Well, to do that, all we need to do is go to the page inspector and the first tab here, or the general tab, scroll down and you can override the default settings. So if we wanted a different title, we check the option here and we enter something else. So we could say About Ben. Then when we go back to Safari, you'll see that the title is updated for this page only. So if I go to the home page, we still have that site-wide title, and the same for the contact. However, the About page now uses that customized site title. And we could do the same for the slogan. So I could put in a customized slogan for this page, like so, then go back to Safari and preview that, and you'll see we have that customized slogan as well. So I'm not going to keep those changes, so I'm going to actually delete that text and uncheck the option, and the same for the title, because we're going to use the same title and slogan across the entire site. However, I did want to show you that those options are available, and it could be handy because you might well want a different slogan, especially in the banner area here, for each individual page. Okay, finally in this lesson I want to show you how you can show and hide pages in the navigation. So by default, when you add a page to RapidWeaver, it automatically gets added to your site navigation. However, if you don't want that page to be shown or linked to in the main navigation area, what you can do is go to the Page Inspector General Settings, go up and uncheck this option to show in navigation. So if we uncheck there, go back to Safari, you'll notice that we now just have the home and contact pages linked here. So that can be handy if you want a hidden page, for example, that you don't want to be shown inside of the global navigation. Maybe you want a page on your site that can only be accessed when someone has the link to that page. So this is a way to do that. Just show and hide each page in the navigation. So we'll recheck that option because obviously we do want our About page to be linked to. Again, this was just to show you the options available to you inside of the Page Inspector. Okay, and actually just before we finish up, there is also the draft option, and what that will do is obviously make this page a draft and it won't be published up to your site. And when you do preview the site locally, it's not included in the navigation. So that's another option to you. If you're working on a new page and you don't want it to be included on your live site yet, you can check the draft option and it won't be included. However, you can still work on it. Then once you're ready, you uncheck the draft option, it will be published up to your site and you'll be able to preview that normally inside of the live external preview. Okay, so that will do it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to start looking at the metadata for our site. So things like the browser title and the page description meta tags and the health check, or the SEO health check, to ensure that our site is SEO friendly. So once you're ready, I'll see you in the next video.